Okay, hi people. I'm going to do kind of a new and not improved, but different, just kind of a reiteration of pen and ink. I also have two different media you can use for pen and ink. So I'm going to kind of go over this one a little bit with you. This is a quill pen, all right? I'm going to hold it up a little bit. Okay, you can see it. It's a quill pen. So one side of it, it's kind of like a little cup. So one side is that way and one side is this way, and then it opens up like that as you draw, okay? Now, why would somebody use a quill pen as opposed to a micron or just a regular pen? Well, you can get something called line weight from a quill pen. So it's also a little messier and you will have mistakes. So for people who aren't afraid to walk the wild side and let their art kind of have some mistakes in it and some splotches and, things like that, you can incorporate it and make it a happy accident. This might be a good thing for you to use. So when you dip this thing, you let the drops come out. I always like to use a little corner of my paper or another piece of paper, probably better so it doesn't ruin your art, just to get the extra off. Now, I usually don't clean my quill pens, although you can, just with soapy water, just soak them a little bit. The reason why I don't clean them is because I like my quill pens to have kind of a, let me put it in here. I like my quill pens to have kind of a buildup of ink. I just feel like it holds the ink better. So, I let a drop or two go down, okay? I go a little poop, get that off this, and just, hold it like a pen. Now, you don't want to hold it on the side. You want to hold it either this way so it's a spoon or this way, okay? So, as you can see, it's actually, it makes some really cool noises. I love the noise, all right? And I'm just cross-hatching with it just to give you an idea. But, the reason to use a quill pen, and this part is called the nib. If you want to buy yourself a quill pen to use for your artwork instead of a regular pen, you get a nib. This is a nib. You buy a nib that's pointy. Don't buy one that's flat. That's made for calligraphy. Then you buy the handle, and it's cheap. It's like a couple bucks. And then you buy black ink. Make sure it's India ink or waterproof ink of any kind. Okay. You can also use any kind of concentrated watercolors. But if I put my pen like this, okay, so as you can see, I already get a thicker line. But if I press harder, as you can see, the line gets thicker. In art speak, a thicker line means line weight, okay? So thicker and thinner lines mean line weight, okay? And that's often why people might use a quill pen, so that when you are drawing something, your lines are not all the same, because that can be a little boring, okay? So hold on one second. I like how I say hold on one second, like you're going anywhere. Okay, so so you can see it dripped a little bit. I brought an apple up. So like any kind of tool that you're getting used to, if you've never used one before, you want to just see if you can just get your hand used to it. So, to do cross hatching, for instance, it takes a lot of practice and it takes a lot of control. So you just draw a line and you start from the line and you press and release. And as you can see, it fades by itself because it's just awesome that way. Okay. And again, don't be afraid of just, making mistakes and doing your thing. And so this is what I would like you to start with if you're cross-hatching, even if you're using a micron. I want you to practice this again. It teaches you control and it gets your hand used to it. If you notice this line, I'm trying to keep on, but this line is fading out into all kinds of directions. You don't want a line, okay? So what you don't want is something that looks like this. You have your line on top, and you just kind of go, all right, and you crosshatch, and you see how it's the same darkness throughout? That's a no bueno, you know. And then if I crosshatch it, it just kind of looks like a bunch of squares. And what you're doing is you're just thickening this line, okay? You're not really shading because you don't have a gradation. You always want to be able to achieve that gradation from darker to lighter, okay? And it takes practice, and it takes patience, like anything else. Also, it's nice to use paper that doesn't have any what's called tooth. You want nice smooth paper so that the if you're using a quill pen, so that your pen doesn't pick up the paper, okay, and make little ugly paper balls that stop it from being pointy, okay. As you can see, I'm just going on it, yeah. Okay, so what I've managed to do here is create something that looks like it's going from dark to light. And that is something that I want you to be able to do with your quill pen or your micron. So I'm going to do another one with a micron really quickly. And you can kind of compare the look. Okay, and you can go dark. I mean, you know, don't be afraid. No fear. Okay, so I'm going to say hold on again because I can't seem not to. Okay, back again. So I'm using a number 3, a 0.03. It's, to me, a nice thickness, okay? Again, the numbers on the side tell you how thick the tip of it is, okay? And I'm just, again, I'm darkening here. So that I get a gradation, okay? So one of the things I'm going to want you to do to practice crosshatching, and again, some of you will get it pretty quickly, and some of you, it's going to be a little struggle, but it's a skill, and all skills are acquired, okay? Some people maybe have a skill set, or they have just a tendency to do something easily. That's great. Yay. Yay. Foot in the door, man. However, if you do something over and over again, you get better at it. That's just, there's like really no, there's kind of no way around that. So even if you're you know, even if I haven't practiced for a while, and I'm pretty good at cross hatching, it's kind of my thing. Okay, so once you've done that, I want you to do your and I'm gonna I want you to do again your gradation box, okay, because I want you to learn how to control, and I'm going to use my ink pen just because I like it. I actually learned how to do pen and ink using one of these. So I feel pretty comfortable with it, and I don't mind the mess or the potential of mess, okay? So I'm just kind of just doing my first kind of line there, okay? Now these are all waterproof inks. Okay, and now I'm going to start getting more serious with it. Okay, I'm going to stop this again. Okay, so I want to remind you what we're looking for is a gradation from dark to medium to light, okay? And you should always have that. It shouldn't be just one thing or another, all right? Another thing you might want to test yourself with, once you've done a couple of these, you're going to start feeling maybe a little more frustrated, I don't know, or happy, or all of the above. What I'd like you to do is just draw a blob. Okay, and then what I'm going to want you to do is I'm going to want you to crosshatch that blob. If you feel like you can, if you notice, I curve my lines in. It's a little bit more of a, it's a little more challenging, but it's kind of fun. I usually change my paper around. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just giving it depth, giving it volume, which means it's round. Okay. Another thing I want to reiterate is you always draw facing towards you. There's my little arrow. Okay. And what I'm going to do with this blob is I'm going to actually create it so that it has like all these little kind of nooks and crannies in it and make it look 3D by shading it. Okay, so here's a little, boop, that's cool. And the darker I make it, the farther it looks 3D. So like if I want to make a little thing going here. Nice. It looks very, very inkalicious. Okay. So again, this is kind of hard because I'm going backwards. Don't do what I'm doing. I just can't change the paper because I'm afraid everything's going to fall. But always go towards you, okay? All right. I'm going to make a little something going on there too. Okay? So you might want to make a little blob, okay? Because blobs are fun. Why not? There's going to be one more thing I'm going to want you to practice with as well. Okay, yeah. All right, this is a very happy blob. Yeah. Okay, so once you've done your blob, the next thing I'm going to want you to do is I'm going to want you to, again, this is for you to get used to just using a pen or using a ink pen. So I want you to draw lines as well as you can. Make them go small, make them go large, make them go small, make them go larger, okay? This doesn't, it's kind of fun to do. It's kind of like, I guess if you're a musician, it would be kind of like doing your, what are those things called? Those notes, those things that they have to do over and over and over again. All right. So now that I have all my practice, okay, so I'm going to reiterate. I want you to do at least, 2 to 4 of these things. I'm going to want you to do 2 to 4 of these things. Let's do a blob or two, okay? And then I'm going to want you to do 2 to 4 of these things. This is really going to, and if you noticed, I didn't draw anything specific because I don't want you to have to draw anything specific. I want you to get used to using ink and used to how it feels, okay? So I'm going to do, because it really doesn't matter because the end result is the same, I'm going to continue using my quill. And, we handed out these pens to everybody, these Bics. These are great. Actually, I prefer it to a Micron. So I use this a lot. This is a little thicker one. There's some thinner ones we gave out, but I like, okay, I like it a lot. I enjoy these pens a lot. Okay, so now I'm going to start my apple, all right? So what's the first thing you do? I'm just going to draw a very thin outline. Now, of course, you probably should do it. People should probably do it first in pencil. Um, okay, I'm going to do it in pencil first. Hold on. Actually, I'm super happy I didn't pencil first because I was able to find the dark spots, okay, the shadows. I have here one shadow. I have this shadow, and I have a very soft shadow here. This part of my apple is pretty shadowed up, okay? So I'm going to begin. So first thing I'm just going to do is just delineate the outside line a little bit. And I'm using this side of my quill if you're using a quill. I'll get in there. Okay. So I don't know what that little blob is. Maybe it's going to turn into a lemon. Okay. Um, Now remember, you're seeing the apple from a very different view than I. Okay, so just want to make sure you knew that. There, okay, there's the apple. Now, what do we do next? We start with the darkest part. That anchors us, okay? So we're going to start with the darkest part of the apple, which is really just here. And I'm just going to start cross-hatching from this line, just like you practiced up here. Well, you can't see it. Okay? Because that anchors me a little bit. It gets me started with my darkest part. And as you can see, my line starts to fade. Okay. And this helps me kind of realize what, all my shades should look like, since this is the darkest shade. Okay. And I'm just going to keep darkening it a little bit. I'm going to move this over because it's right in the middle of that thing. Actually, there's the darkest is right here. Okay, and I'm just going to keep going over that spot until I get the darkness that I'm looking for. Okay, and then I'm going to kind of outline the, not outline, but kind of fill in the shade. And this I'm going to kind of stop in one place. Okay, so now I have that. Now I'm going to start with my layers, okay? So I'm going to go to the darkest spot on the apple. Start there. There's kind of a, and how I see it is I kind of squint my eyes at it. And what that does is it takes away everything, all the details, and it just gives me the shape. Aren't you guys happy you're not doing an egg? At least you're not doing an egg. Apples are almost as good as eggs, actually. I kind of like the eggs, but apples will do. Okay, so you see I did that. There's another dark shade down here. So I'm just gonna, right now I'm just getting the blocks of shade in. There's a shade right here. Okay, this is darker here. And I'm going to try to curve my line. As you can see, that was a big old splotch. Right there, I got a splotch. And really, the whole thing is kind of shaded. So I'm going to shade the whole thing. And I'm kind of rounding my lines a little bit. Remember, this is just our first layer. Ooh, I'm going to be a hot mess after this, inky-wise. But I kind of enjoy it. Okay, I'm going to get that off my hand. Okay. All right. Starting to get to where I'm wanting to be. So I'm going to do a little more of this and pause it so it's not like forever. All right, peeps. So my apple is pretty much finished, more or less. I could probably refine it for days. If you notice, it's not beautifully clean and everything, because I used my quill pen. So, it has its own kind of like texture and stuff. But let me pause this. Okay. So, pretty much completed. These are the things I'm going to want you to do to have you feel like you can really work in pen and ink. Okay, that's why it's called pen and ink, because it has. Let me fix this thing so you can see all this mess. Okay, so don't forget a bunch of these, a couple of gradations, some blobs. Okay, some of these. Once you get those down and you feel like you have them down pretty well, you'll find that you can actually really feel confident that you've started building your skill set in pen and ink. Okay? Enjoy. It's really fun. All right. Bye.